This episode of Inside the Architect and Designer Awards is sponsored by Design in Detail. Design in Detail is where creativity finds its home. Representing top vendors, Design in Detail offers a curated collection of furniture, fabric, wall covering, lighting, and more, sold exclusively to the design trade. For more than a decade, Design in Detail has been the premier destination for designers seeking fresh, distinctive pieces and superior service. Visit the showroom in Maplewood and let your creativity flourish, or visit designindetailstl.com. Today I'm excited to welcome David Kent Richardson to Inside the Architect and Designer Awards mini-series. David, congratulations on your win in the commercial restaurant space category this year.
Thank you very much.
David is the designer behind Katie's Pizza and Pasta in Ballpark Village. And I guess my first question for you, David, is how did you meet Katie?
I've known Katie since when she was very young. She worked for her aunt Zoe Robinson at Zoe Pan-Asia in the Central West End at the corner of Euclid and McPherson. And I had a store across the street, and I was in there all the time. And that's how I first met Katie. She was a very quiet, shy, bashful, pretty girl.
Yes. And so how did the two of you decide to work together on this project?
That was her. She had things in motion, and she called. I did a refresh on Katie's Pasta in Rock Hill, and that's been about. I think it was in 2019. It was right before the pandemic, and then she was into work. She was into Ballpark Village, and I guess she felt she needed me. It's nice to be needed.
Yes, of course. And so this isn't your first restaurant design,
No, ma'am.
obviously.
No, ma'am.
Tell me a little bit about the main differences between designing for a restaurant and designing for a residence.
One decision goes a long way. You have, like, picking out chairs and stuff. You make the decision once, but you get 50 of them. And there's not as much tiny details and personal, but then everything you have to think about takes a beating and keeps on ticking, and just the use and wear and tear and movement of people. And, you'll notice something, once the restaurant's full of people, no one will notice that, or that would be in the way. Or it's a different perspective, that's for sure. Yes.
Do you enjoy designing for restaurants?
Yes, I mean, I've done quite a few, and I enjoy it very much.
So obviously the restaurant is in Ballpark Village, but you wanted to create a very upscale aesthetic. How did you balance the two so as not to veer too far into a sports bar look?
On Katie's wish, Ta and Lee created a vestibule entrance, so to speak, with her crest and her hostess stand and the revolving doors, which is a little bit sophisticated for a sports bar. And her menu is elevated, so there was the mix of warm woods and black tabletops and sitting on concrete floors, and you have to be prepared in a restaurant like that, especially in Ballpark Village for game day, for spills and people not acting really elevated, and yet she has elevated items on the menu. And it was just carefully choosing the surfaces and the textures so they would last and have appeal to them and look good. And the art helps so much. I mean, it's just amazing what a piece of art will do to a room, but all designers know that, especially us crazy ones.
And so I'm curious what Katie expressed to you about the aesthetic for this particular restaurant.
Well, her father's collection of architectural antiques and garden antiques were forefront on her plate, and I think a little bit of the reason why she called me in to to work with her because I play so much with people's collections of things. And she wanted them very much part of, since he had passed away, she wanted, that's like him being with her and using his collection. And so that was very much on the forefront of putting the restaurant together and keeping that in mind.
And nature, bringing nature into the space obviously plays a big role in that.
Absolutely. Not only did she want to use his planter, but she very much likes plants. And Susan from Growing Green came in and did a wonderful job in helping select. And then Josh Smith from Workhorse cast planters with the big lion head in them. And it was the nature part was a team effort, but it was very, very important to Katie. Her personal house has big trees in it, and all of her locations have big trees. She likes them a lot.
And I understand that the French doors dividing the restaurant from the private event space are also from her father's collection.
The painted ones are from her father's collection, and then the lucite ones on the either side were cast from the original pair, and the ones in the middle are the original.
What would you say was one of the main challenges for you as the designer?
Balancing the plants and the statuary and not and making it stand out and displayed correctly and installing it. Oh my God, that was work.
Right. And so I'd like to talk a little bit about some of the details in the restaurant. At the entrance, there's a beautiful tile floor. What can you tell me about the design and how that came to be?
Well, Katie was very much involved in the design of that. And my basic only thing that I really did with it after it was designed and the colors picked and all that was angled the way it was going to turn when you walked in the door to make sure at different angles it looked right. The wheat in it stands for the flour for the pasta and the pizza. The red bird in it is stands for the Cardinals, of course, at Ballpark Village, but also her father visiting, the myth behind the cardinal bird visiting. And it's a peace sign, which was a big deal to her dad and a big deal to Katie. So there's a lot of symbolism in that piece. It means a lot to her.
It's beautiful. And the art in the space is obviously very beautiful and very personal to Katie.
Absolutely. Ted Collier, who did his signature big circles, and he did larger ones and bolder ones than he usually do, and they command the walls so perfectly, and they command the room because the room is big, and the images are big and bold and strong, as are the pieces by her mother, Belinda Lee, behind the retail counter, and those are taken from ancient Italian maps. And once again, it's very personal to the people that created them and very personal to Katie.
And it is a 10,000 square foot space. How do you create that cozy, inviting atmosphere in such a large area?
Talon Lee, the architects, divided the space and turned over to me. I colored in the line. They gave me the lines and I colored in. And they did an excellent job on placing the bar and dividing the space so you don't really, it's not in segments, but it keeps it from being a mass tennis court or a hockey field because it's huge. And they divided the space really well.
And one of those spaces is the pasta making bar, which is so cool and charming. What can you tell me about the materials that you used in there?
Well, that was selected. I selected the tile and did the grate for all the tools and the pasta making tools and everything, and the bar stools, and the countertop or the butcher block was Katie and the chef. That's what they wanted, and then it just kind of fell into place together. I mean, it's a very handsome space. You can even sit there and eat while they make pasta, and they make all the pasta for all her locations at Ballpark Village.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. And it is true. If you go there, you realize that, I mean, people are working behind that counter, for hours on end making that pasta. So it's obviously it's being used.
Absolutely. They're very busy.
Yes.
Very busy.
And then you have the pizza making oven space, and that's a wood burning oven.
Yes, it is.
And what materials did you use, and how did you come up with that black and white color scheme?
I don't know that there was ever anything else talked about. I mean, red would have been just too sports bar or too cardinal oriented, and even though it's in Ballpark Village, there was like a certain line we didn't want to cross with the restaurant. We wanted to be a little bit elevated from a sports bar situation. And the black just, I don't know, it just casual conversation between Katie and I. It was, I don't remember.
Yeah, but there is that Uccello Russo
which
tile.
Basically
What
means red bird in Italian.
Oh, very cool, very cool. And who did you work with for the chairs and the tables? Is there like a local connection at all?
You want me to tell you the sources for them?
That would be great.
Believe it or not, the chairs are from Pottery Barn.
Oh.
When you're sourcing for a job or space that large, I mean, we had to have many chairs, and we wanted 2 styles, and then we needed lots of bar stools, and then the bar stools in the pasta room, and we had to balance that all together. And they have to be durable, extremely durable, and they also need to be somewhat comfortable. And then, of course, I said already there was so many. It was sourcing through different. I would have my computer going, 2 iPads, and be
Oh my gosh.
source to see if the people had enough and were they going to have enough, and because you'd have to buy the chairs before they'd let you know if there were enough and could fulfill your. So it was, and then I would constantly send like little mood board, so to speak. I would Photoshop and send Katie pictures of what 3 or 4 chairs would look like all together, and then she would text me back, no, yes. When Katie says no, it's a hard no.
There's no wiggle room then, right?
Not when she says no. If she's silent, there's wiggle room. But if she says no, it's don't even bring it back up again.
I'm curious what your favorite design element is in the restaurant.
I guess the arrangement and the dividing of the planters and using the artichokes, and I mean, I like it all.
Yeah, it is very, very inviting.
I mean, the plants are beautiful. The planters are beautiful. That was so much fun going through. There were 4 storage units of her father's, and it was just packed with stuff and heavy stuff, and we'd have to move them all out to get stuff and see. And then we brought a truckload and had them sitting out front of the restaurant, and we would go, that one no, and these 3 here and those 3 there, and it was making them all work out. I guess if there was one thing I'm the proudest of, it's because I just, in the back of my head, I worried, and I would count and recount and space and respace, and it's not going to work, it's not going to work, it's not going to work. And then the day that it happened, it was just like, damn.
I'm sure that felt terrific.
It was a lot of relief once all those and you have to understand those things are so heavy, and it's not like you could go, oh, move that over 6 inches or move that in. It's like, no, they had to go and be. And then the ones between the booths are drilled and steady so they won't tip over. See, that's another thing. Everything had to be made permanent so it wouldn't, because one of those things fall off. Major pain.
Major. And David, for designers out there who might be thinking about entering the Architect and Designer Awards competition this year, what advice do you have for them?
Photography is everything. Get a really good photographer, and don't be afraid to do it. Make yourself do it. If you're scared, oh no, I can't, I won't place, I won't win. Screw that. Just do it. Just load the pictures up and enter them in and just do it. Just as Katie's dad would say, do your thing.
I love that. Well, thank you so much, David, for your time today.